Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 8 of the Giro d'Italia. Let me get my fingers correct. All right, there you go. Stage 8 of the 2025 Giro d'Italia. Today's stage, 197 kilometers, 4 categorized climbs. First one starting just over 150 kilometers ago. Next one just over 100. Then about 50 kilometers ago. Then with 7 kilometers ago, there's a bit of a stick before you drop down and have a little bit of an uphill grind to the finish of today's stage. It's an ideal stage for breakaways. Now, if we look at the composition of the general classification, Primož Roglič, Bora Hansgrohe wearing the pink jersey, and then white jersey is Ayuso. Lidl Trek, though, Vasek has said in an Instagram post that he'd like to have white back. Well, in order to get white away from Ayuso, you probably got to get yourself in pink first because Primož Roglič is only 4 seconds in front of Ayuso. So Vasek, if you want white, you better shoot for pink, and then you might get both. So when we look at today's race, understand that Lidl Trek are going to either want to put guys in the break or they're going to want to control at least who's going up the road and maybe help out with Bora Hansgrohe because tomorrow's stage 9, the Strade Bianche course. Not exactly the same course, but they finish in the same place when we're talking about Campo del Piazzo. So you know it's a difficult stage 9 that's coming up tomorrow. Bora Hansgrohe will probably want to do the minimum that they possibly can on today's stage and give up the race leader's pink jersey, but Vasek says he'd like to be back in white, so anything can happen on today's stage. When the racing starts, well, anything's going to happen, and it's going to be ape. We're going to see Mads Pedersen just 5 kilometers into the stage going up the road, and he's got 2 breakaway riders with him. We see that it's my old teammate, Cattaneo, up there from Pseudo Quickstep, as we see Matteo Cattaneo with Mads Pedersen. We see the 3rd rider, De Preto, there from Jaco Alula. Jaco Alula clearly wants some action in today's race too. So with those 3 riders, they're going up and they're throwing down on the pedals. And guys, there's attacks left, right, and center at the back of the peloton back there as we see that it's Wout van Aert throwing in attack after attack, trying to get up in the break with these 3 riders being led with Mads Pedersen. Now, if Wout van Aert isn't on the front, Visma Bike's on the front. If Visma Bike's not on the front and Wout's not attacking, someone else is attacking. It's going crazy back there on stage 8 of the Giro d'Italia. It's going to be a magnificent beginning show here for stage 8, and everybody's legs are going to be destroyed at the end of today's stage. Now, with attacks after attacks from the peloton and with the gap only at about 20-25 seconds to Mads Pedersen up there from Lidl Trek and his 2 companions as they're driving it, blazing as hard as they can, attacks going left, right, and center. We're going to finally see them get wrapped up after 50 kilometers of up there trying to hold off the peloton. The peloton never broke. They kept attacking left and right, and they've brought everything back together. The problem right now is we're starting the first category climb with about 153 kilometers to go. Up front, now you know when we get into this climb, it's going to be the smaller guys who are going to start looking at each other as we start seeing Jaco Alula there as it's Double there looking over at Fortunato, who's wearing the KOM jersey. Double was in the break yesterday. Fortunato and Double is wearing the KOM jersey, so they're both looking at each other at the front of the peloton. I guess they can only be thinking right now that this is going to be a hard climb. Right away, we see Visma Bike throwing in some attacks. It gets brought back. And then we see the Colombian Nairo Quintana from Movistar throwing in attack. And he's got 2 Pulte riders on his wheel. Those 3 riders are going up the road, but the peloton's still not letting them go. We look at the back of the peloton. If I back it up to about the middle of this climb, Wout van Aert was back there. Mads Pedersen was at the back of the peloton because they did a big-time effort for the first 60K of today's stage 8, and now they're paying for it. This is not when you want to get caught. If you're a Mads Pedersen from Lidl Trek, you got to get that gap established before the first KOM climb. Otherwise, it's going to get difficult, and that's why we see Wout van Aert and Mads Pedersen at the back of the peloton. Go up front, the Colombian Nairo Quintana and Davide there from Pulte is going to grab himself maximum KOM points and go over the top together. As they're dropping down the descent, it's going to get interesting. We see a group of some riders back there starting to bridge across to make a larger group. I'll call it 8-10 riders right now with Nairo Quintana. And then we start seeing with 125 kilometers to go, it's Luke Plapp bridging across the gap from Jaco Alula. As Luke Plapp's bridging across the gap, the peloton's coming too, so everything's brought back together. Now we come up to this beautiful, magnificent Italian town. I want to show you at the back of the peloton. Luke Plapp sitting here at the back, and as the peloton's coming through the archway, you can see the Jaco Alula rider still at the back of the peloton. And as they start coming out of this town, there's attacks going up the front as Luke Plapp was at the back of the peloton. But he's got his teammate Koen Bouwman following this group with some Visma Bike riders. Viz Melissa Bikes, Wilco Kelderman, or it could have been, I'm trying to remember, there's a lot of attacks going on right now. Could be, of course, Dylan Van Barley up there. Maybe both of them are in this group of about 8-10 riders. Then the group starts getting bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, when we look back, we see it's Igor Arrieta and Diego Ulises, my old teammate from Lamprey. As these two are bridging up to the back of the peloton, they get some company. Luke Plapp has made it from the back of the peloton. I don't know how he did it, but he's made it. We see him just chasing onto the back there, and he's latching onto those two riders as they catch the front group. When we start looking at this front group, I'm going to call it 17 guys, but who knows, who cares? It's big right now, and there's multiple teams. I'll call it at least 5 teams in there with multiple riders, because a couple more riders will bridge on later. We'll get about 20 riders in this front group. Right away, we see why you don't want 20 riders in the front group, as we see Steinhauser from EF Education. He's eating something in his hand. There's a little split of like 7 riders in front of him, and as there's a split, there's already chaos now, because we start looking up at Fortunato, who's up in this front group, and he's at about 2 minutes and 57 seconds, so just under 3 minutes right now in the GC. He's the highest up here. He's at the front wearing the KOM jersey. He's waving his hand around because he wants everyone to work together, while the peloton, while the breakaway, that's almost effectively the peloton, is split in half, and there's already chaos as everyone's fighting to come back together. Now we come into the next climb. As everything did come back together, we come into the next climb with 104 kilometers to go. This is the second climb here on stage 8 of the Giro. Once they go up this climb, there's chaos all over again. The break up here is blowing up in pieces, and mainly it's Cofidis that's coming out the back. And if we look at the front, mainly it's Viz Melissa bike up there's Dylan Van Barley that's trying to set some tempo because he's got Wilco Kelderman. Was it tempo? Was he attacking? I can't tell the difference, but he's going hard, that's for sure. So we see the split coming in the back, and I'll call it about 7-8 riders that are going off the back. But when we start looking up at the front, you still have some of the general classification possible GC up here, because Fortunato's in this front group, again, just under 3 minutes. And then when we start looking at Diego Ulises, he's about 4 minutes down on the general classification, and just a few seconds behind Diego Ulises is Housen there, Damon Housen from Q36.5. So 3 guys a threat on general classification, no one else in this front group is. Now the group kind of comes back together a little bit, we'll call it 15, maybe 17 riders, whatever. I think it's closer to 15, but it's kind of coming back together, and then it's blowing up again. We start going up to the top of the KOM, and we see Fortunato grabs maximum points, and he's got Bardet on his wheel. They drop down the descent, and this group gets a little bit bigger. Now we got 4 with Vendrame, Steinhauser, Bardet, and Fortunato up there. And then it starts to grow bigger again as some more guys from the breakaway bridge to the back, and all of a sudden we got about 10 riders in this front group. We come into 69 kilometers to go. Plapp throws in attack. With the attack of Plapp, he's got Steinhauser and Igor Arrieta from UAE Team Emirates, along with Wilco Kelderman and Diego Ulises in this group. So there's 5 guys, and then we see 2 more bridging up as we see Bardet and Vendrame bridge up. Now we got 7 guys in this front group. We see Arrieta go back. He's talking to the director sportif in this car right there. That's my old teammate Maury right there driving the car, the director sportif for UAE Team Emirates. As he's giving some instructions there to Igor Arrieta, he'll ride to the front there, to the back of that group of 6, now 7. As he's at the back, we see the next attack coming from Wilco Kelderman and Diego Ulises. Ulises throwing in attacks. Wilco Kelderman's throwing in some attacks. They're getting a little bit of gap. We got 2 kilometers before the next climb starts at 51 kilometers to go. As they start this climb, the 2 riders have a gap. Not a huge gap, but 15, 20 seconds, maybe 22 on the group of 5 behind. And then we start seeing some more attacks in the group behind as Igor Arrieta and Steinhauser dropping Bardet back there, Vendrame and Luke Plapp. Luke Plapp sitting on the back, but then he throws in his own acceleration as he bridges up to Steinhauser and Igor Arrieta to put 3 guys there. We still got the 2 riders up front of Wilco Kelderman and Diego Ulises. That is a threat on the general classification if he can get enough time, because the gap's gone up to about 5 minutes right now to the Astana rider. On top of that, we got some other drama, because the second half of this original group of breakaway guys here, we see Fortunato wearing the KOM jersey. He's back there too, so he's getting close to the virtual race leaders jersey, if not already in it, because he was at 3 minutes, so he's in it. But right now, he's kind of losing it to Diego Ulises that's going up the road. So I don't know who has it, but one of the Astana riders could have it at any moment. But Housen back there with Fortunato, he does not have it, that's for sure. So as we start looking at Diego Ulises, Ulisi, and we start looking at Wilco Kelderman going up the road. They still got some company coming back there because we're going to see that Igor Arrieta is going to bridge across, and he's going to close the gap up to the 2 riders in front. And as he's closing the gap, we see Luke Plapp is starting to close the gap, and Steinhauser's falling off the back. We look further back down the hill. Bardet's dropping right now, and Vendrami's out of the picture for sure, but they might get a chance to come back because the group back there with Fortunato's somewhere at about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So we go up front as Igor Arrieta's bridged the gap, and Luke Plapp has made the gap. We see Steinhauser's trying to make the gap, but Luke Plapp is putting some acceleration on the pedals as he throws in an acceleration. So this will keep Steinhauser off the back. We see Igor Arrieta trying to close up to Luke Plapp with about 45 kilometers to go as they're nearing the top of the climb here. But then we see Diego Ulisi and Wilco are back there, just dropped off a little bit. And then bam, we see Igor Arrieta can't hold the pace of Plapp as Plapp from Jaco Lula's got another acceleration left in his legs with about 45 kilometers to go, nearing the top of this summit. As we look back there, Igor Arrieta will drop off the pace, and then Luke Plapp is going solo. He reaches the top of the KOM with 45 kilometers to go with a 34-second gap on the 3 chasers behind. Igor Arrieta's rotating through a little bit soft, if I'm being fair, when you're looking at the cameras back there, and the cameras are all over the place, because when we go back and look at the peloton, it's Bora Hansgrohe that was on the front setting tempo the whole time, but they backed off the tempo on the second climb when that group of 20 riders was going away, and they, like I said, have made the gap at about 5.5 minutes with Luke Plapp up the road. Now, as Luke Plapp drops down the descent, we come into about 30 kilometers to go, and Luke Plapp can't find any water. Finally, the motorcycle camera comes up, and you see the motorcycle glove with the clear bottle there. It's not a water bottle, but not a race water bottle. It's a plastic water bottle. He hands it to Luke Plapp. Luke Plapp sucks it all up, and then finally his car shows up. As his car shows up, he grabs a bottle, and then he grabs another bottle and sprays the water all over his head. Now he's got to go to work right now here at Stage 8 of the Giro if he wants to win. Because just behind him, at about 1 minute and 10 seconds, well, at this point in time, we start looking that there's Diego Ulisi, Wilco Kelderman, and Igor Arrieta together, and the gap's at about 1 minute and 10 seconds, so 3 riders chasing 1. It's still possible at this moment, and it's edge of the seat watching here at Stage 8 of the Giro d'Italia. You go back and look at Fortunato back there, who's in the race leader's virtual jersey at this moment, holding about a 14-15 second virtual race leader's jersey over Diego Ulisi's, and of course, over Primoz Roglic back there that's wearing the pink jersey with Bora Hansgrohe that's getting some work as they were going up over the top of the climb with Bahrain victorious midway up the climb doing some tempo. But Bora Hansgrohe took back over the front, and now they're setting some easier tempo, and it looks like we got a possible chance here for 2 Astana riders, one in the front called Diego, one in the second group called Fortunato, which is really the third. Diego's really the second because Plapp's up the front going solo still. But with those 2 riders, they're going to have to fight out who's going to get the race leader's pink jersey at the end of the stage, or will one of the GC teams back there start chasing on the front. Let me remind you guys, Lidl Trek could get on the front at any moment. UAE team members could get on the front. Bora Hansgrohe could decide they want pink still and just start pulling faster, so that's where we're at with about 25 kilometers to go in today's race. Now we go into 20 kilometers to go, and we start seeing the gap as Igor Arrieta throws in attack. He throws in an attack on his 2 breakaway companions and immediately starts bringing about 10-15 seconds back there on, of course, Luke Plapp, who's going solo still. As Luke Plapp goes over the Red Bull sprint competition, he drops down the backside. He starts throwing down on the pedal some more. Igor Arrieta gets wrapped up 10 kilometers later, and the gap goes right back up to 1 minute, 10 seconds. So you know at this moment, with 8 kilometers to go, that Luke Plapp's going to win today's Stage 8 if he can hold it together, because there's still one more climb to go, and it's with about 7 kilometers. When we see Luke Plapp hit this climb, it's a 700-800 meter stick of a climb. I mean, super hard. Luke Plapp's throwing everything in the pedals, but he looks like he knows he's got it under control. He'll get near the top. He'll hand his bottle off to one of the spectators there. He'll round the top of the KOM, and now for sure you know Luke Plapp's going to win Stage 8. We go back and look at Diego Ulisi right now. Guys, Diego Ulisi's putting it down with Wilco Kelderman, and we see Igor Arrieta get blown off the wheel, but Diego Ulisi's still racing for pink here. He's got to throw everything into it. We look further back as we look at the third group back there chasing, and we'll see that Fortunato comes off off the group. As he's coming off the group, that means that Jersey could easily go up to his teammate up there, Diego Ulissi. Depending on what's happening in the peloton, it's all going to be a nail biter for Pink right here. But it's not a nail biter for the stage victory, as Luke Plapp's coming under the 1K banner. He'll go up the next couple bends as he comes into 400 meters to go. He knows he's got today's race won. Comes into 200 meters to go. Starts celebrating, puts his hands on his helmet in disbelief as he starts celebrating stage 8 victory for Jaco Alulis. Luke Plapp, the Australian rider, winning a stage of the Giro d'Italia. Congratulations, Luke Plapp, as he crosses the line. Now what's happening in the back? Diego Ulissi is coming out of the left bend there. He's on the front. He's got Wilco Kelderman on his wheel. He needs all the time bonuses he could possibly get, and he's still sprinting for second or third place. As we see Diego Ulissi sprinting out of the corner, Wilco Kelderman from Vismalisa bike's got no heart whatsoever. Man, he's going to come around the left side there of Diego Ulissi, and he's going to pimp Diego Ulissi. He's at the line for second place, about 38 seconds back from the time up there of Luke Plapp. But Diego Ulissi will cross the line for third to round out a podium and for precious 4-second time bonuses. Now what's happening back there? We go back and we start looking at Fortunato crossing the line at 1 minute and 48 seconds back. That means Diego's 12 seconds up on him, so he's definitely beat his teammate that's wearing the KOM jersey right now. But has he beaten Primoz Roglic? Well, we got to go back to about 7K because I left out some crucial details as we're going up the final 700 meters for the peloton right now that's going into it curb to curb. We see UAE team Emirates on one side. Bora Hansgrohe, Primoz Roglic knows he's got to stay in the right position because, of course, UAE team Emirates, Ayuso, is going to want to start stealing some time. We look over to the right side. Ineos is on the front. When we get on the climb proper, Tom Pidcock from Q36.5 is thrown in attack. We see Ayuso directly on his wheel. Primoz Roglic sitting in about 6th or 7th position. Then Ayuso and UAE team members will stay at the front. Primoz Roglic is a little bit at the back of UAE train, not at the back, just at the back of UAE train, so he's still in a good spot. UAE train will go over the top of that climb. They'll drop down the descent. Now they're coming in the last 1K. You remember correctly, because we've seen Plapp already go up this last hill. We see Diego Ulissi do it. Well, that means as we come out of the last corner there with about 400 meters to go, Ayuso's throwing an attack there on Primoz Roglic. We see Cicconi's in second position, but gapped off from Ayuso as he's throwing in everything he's got left here for stage 8 as he's trying to gain time on Primoz Roglic. Roglic is doing his quick little spin of the pedals, high RPM revs as comes around Ciccone. We see Ayuso cross the line at 4 minutes and 49 seconds back from the time of Plapp, and we see Primoz Roglic come across the line 1 second off of the time there from Ayuso. Now what happens? What happens to the pink jersey as we see, of course, Diego Ulissi waiting patiently right now to try to figure out if he's going to wear pink in tomorrow's stage 9 there at Strade Bianche. Well, finally, as we see Diego get excited, we know Diego, my old teammate from Lampre, is going to be putting on the race leader's pink jersey here for Italy, for the Italian rider, for Astana, and of course for all of Italy fans, because Diego Ulissi is Italian. So, congratulations, Diego Ulissi, for putting the pink jersey on. Congratulations for Luke Plapp for winning the stage. Fortunato, fantastic ride in today's stage 8 of the Giro. When we're talking about Ayuso gaining a time on Primoz Roglic, okay, I'll always take 1 more second. Primoz Roglic still looked really good as he had that high RPM cadence, though, to hold Ayuso to 1 second and finish the line. Still ahead by 3 seconds of Ayuso when we go into tomorrow, Stage 9, Strade Bianche. Like and subscribe. Today was magnificent. You know tomorrow is going to be the same. See you guys on the next edition real soon. Jesus. Oh, if I could die, I'll like fucking like...